Stop's been terrific to work with, and he takes great pride in his work.
We've gotten bigger as we've expanded through the western United States, and the One Stop has supplied us with entry-level employees with skill sets that we could not find out in the open market without interviewing for weeks.
Our business, Help at Home Senior Care, provides non-medical in-home care for the elderly. The One Stop Career Center has helped us recruit qualified caregivers to help them in their home. We encourage other companies to take advantage of the One Stop Career Center. It's really helped our business.
Gone. Yes, I'm gone.
Hello and welcome to Cafe Community. We're so glad you can join us. I'm your host, Cheryl Noble. Our program features people who make a difference in our community, as well as our incredible resources to help us survive and thrive. And perhaps one of our most prized resources is our variety of intuitive, integrative, and alternative spiritualists, healers, and practitioners. Tonight, I have an expert in energy healing, and I also have a numerologist. Before I introduce my first guest, I'd like to introduce my co-host for this program. She is in the know of all things spiritual and alternative in our community. She's the publisher of Insight Directory, and she's in the Cafe Community House tonight. A warm welcome to Susie Daggett.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. That's very sweet.
You're
I don't
very
know
welcome.
that I don't know very much. I just find people who know.
Well,
I have a good channel to know.
And you have a resource guide that puts it all in the know.
I do. The Insight Directory has been around. We're almost ready to publish our 15th edition.
Oh, gosh.
And people pick it up and go, wow, I didn't know that so-and-so was here. Wow, look at this. I can get somebody to do this. And it's a very good and very visual. It's out everywhere in the community, the
Yes.
Insight Directory. And there's a website, insightdirectory.com.
Okay. Yeah, lots of good information, and also businesses that support the various arts and
Yes.
healers in the community, too. Well, I'm going to let you introduce our first guest, since this is kind of your show.
Well, thank you. Every once in a while, you come up across a little bump in the road, and you say, I wonder who I am, what I'm doing, what's my life destiny, how do I get out of this rut and go forward? And guess what? You can find Alice Halford.
Yay.
Because Alice has many hats. One of them is numerology, and we're going to talk about that because I was lucky enough to have Alice do a quick numerological chart on me, and I found out my life, destiny, and my birth. Let's see. See, now it's time for you to talk.
Yes, you could.
Your destiny number is a vibration taken from the birth name, as it's spelled exactly on the birth certificate. So some people don't go by their birth names, but the idea is that you help your parents choose your name, and then once it goes down on the paper, it locks in the kind of life lessons that you want to learn in this life. Mm-hmm. So by looking at that, the destiny, the goalposts of your life is from the name. And then the life path or birth path, some of these things have more than one name, comes from the month, day, and year of your birth.
And how does this help somebody? Knowing, sitting
Right.
down with you, because you don't do just like, okay, here it is. You do a full
Yeah.
It's a
chart.
profile.
It's a big profile. It gives you lots of really good insights.
Yeah.
And different components that I was looking at, too, which I didn't know, like timelines in your life.
Yeah. Do
And
you want to
cycles.
pull up that example?
Okay,
Can we do
yes.
that chart?
She brought with us.
She did a fake
with
chart.
A fake profile.
An
And this
example.
is so somebody who would consult with you would get this breakdown.
I plotted out. I'm a good example. This is our example chart. So you would pretend there's the name there at the top, and then I assign the numbers, the vibrations to the whole name. And by doing this by hand, I actually kind of link into the energy around the person and kind of look at patterns. There are 5 core characteristics to your personality that start with the destiny, life path, soul number, personality, and so forth. Then, like Cheryl said, down at the bottom are the timeline information, where we look at your birth date in a couple of different ways. And then every calendar year, something called the personal year cycles through, which can help you get in a groove. So if you know what your personal year number is, you can work on focusing on aspects that relate to that number. And kind of, again, it helps you to smooth things out.
Interesting.
So it is a lot of information. And so whenever I do a full profile on somebody, I make sure that not only do they get their own printout like that, but I record our 1-hour consultation on digital recorder, which I can give a person a CD, or I can email the information, you know, and they can refer to it. Because some of these things take time to unfold.
And that's so helpful when you have a reading of any kind, to have a recording to go back. I've listened to some of my recordings I've had for 20 years, and all of a sudden I went, oh, that's what they were talking about.
Yeah.
You know, it's our lives are so remarkable, the way they unfold and the way there's something in front of them for us almost all the time. But what stops us from seeing those? Is that part of our destiny?
I think sometimes we have a gut feeling about ourselves. So if you see it out there and you can, oh, well, that's what that's about. And so my goal is to help people communicate with themselves by way of this tool and inspire them to go ahead, follow that gut feeling, you know, because this validates things. It can also help you communicate more clearly with somebody. If you know their characteristics, they know your characteristics, then you're not, you know, bumping heads all the time. Or you can help each other. This is your strong suit, this is my strong suit. Let's work together. So it can be used in so many ways.
What got you interested in even pursuing the path of a numerologist?
Well, I stumbled across it, as it were, in 1996, and I got a book. Carol Adrian was on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and when she talked about it, she had a little book called the Numerology Kit, mailed away for it, got a signed copy back, did the work and plotted it out for myself, and was so grateful to say, oh, well, all right, now I understand, because there had been some challenges in my life that were showing up right there in that profile. So once you know the kind of possible stumbling blocks, you can take evasive action. Or, you know, you can work with it in a different way so that you're not always saying, why the heck is this
Maybe
repeating?
turn that negative stumbling block into something positive because you know that it's an understand it.
Exactly. Heads up.
Yeah.
And,
Cool.
and this has made a difference in your life and in people who come to you for a reading. Are they skeptical? Do they think, how could a number tell me anything?
Yeah.
Well, some people are, exactly. And so when I first started doing charts for people, I was just trusting that the numbers would say what's real. And over again, people did validate. Oh, yeah, that does relate. So, and the one thing that annoys me is when somebody walks up and says, I'm a 7. And I'm asking, well, what is that? Is that your destiny, your life path, a soul number? You know, nobody is just one thing. We are a bouquet of characteristics that if we do a profile, we can look at all of those. And I think that makes us much more, it enriches our lives, or can.
Well, I like that when you did mine, which was very quick, but you gave me these little cards that told me characteristics of that number, of that vibration for me, which are, I would say, pretty darn spot on.
Yeah, and I have a couple of books I work with, and that book, those characteristics actually were taken by from a book that Dan Millman did.
Oh, really? I didn't know he did numerology.
Yes, he did some numerology at one point. So I also offer resources of 3 or 4 books that I work with that people can go to and find at the library or pick up somewhere, so that if they want to go into it a little further, they can for themselves.
Is there a scientific basis for numerology? Is it just an ancient art like tarot or astrology?
Yeah, it is the ancient art. And the method that I do is called the Pythagorean method, in terms of how you plot out make a grid 1 through 9 and plot out the alphabet on that grid. So it's like a formula, which I like, because there's no guesswork. It will always come out, you know, once you know those letters.
So when you do the profile, there can be different numbers then for different paths and categories in destiny, right? It's not just one single number that's all encompassing.
Right. Each number 1 through 9 has its own characteristics. And so once you kind of understand the general characteristics of those numbers, when you see them in their places on a chart, then you understand, well, then in terms of your personality,
It's
you're
this
projecting
number,
this and that. And
in
these
terms of the destiny,
characteristics.
it's this number. You did one for Susie. Did you want to use a couple of those things as an example?
Well, a couple of things that were fascinating to me is that Susie and I share the same destiny number, which is actually a 10. And sometimes
That's off the chart.
Isn't
Wait a
that
minute.
interesting?
You said 1 to 9.
Yeah.
Some
I want
numbers,
that
combos.
number.
some numbers, when you do the calculations, you must leave them a certain way because they give you added information. If you get a double digit, 22, 33, 44, those are called master numbers.
Oh, my
There are also
gosh.
numbers called karmic numbers. 10 is a karmic number.
This is more than a 12-minute time frame to talk about.
okay.
that, obviously.
Yes, but it's interesting because she has leadership qualities of the 1 with extra energy of the 0 behind it to amplify that. And it's also a number of making a fresh start and so there are wonderful characteristics that we bring out and can explain and show how they weave into each other.
Yeah. And with time in consideration, we can't get to everything. What's the best way for somebody to consult with you? How long does it take?
Well, on my website, alicehalford.com, you can look at more details about numerology and have contact information there. I will go through a chart, and go through it for an hour with you, either in person or we can do a Skype consultation, something like that.
Okay. Great.
And then, like I said, I will record it while we go over the information, and then
So people can give you the information beforehand, and then when you have the consultation, they've got a full hour of your time. Do people come back then for, I want to say follow-up, I don't know what to call
yeah,
it.
some people like, especially because of the timeline information, it's kind of nice once in a while to look at that.
Right.
And I had a girlfriend up in Washington State when I first started doing this. I gave her a profile in 2000, the year 2000, and we did a cassette tape. And she called me out of the blue the other day and said, you told me about me moving into leadership positions at the time.
And I
she
didn't believe you.
And it did, and it happened, but it happened in a very natural way that made sense to her. And so she said, if you're not doing this, you better get back to it. So
And you are
that
doing
was
it.
sweet.
Sometimes people
Yes.
can find you at different cafes working things out,
Oh, yeah.
writing a book. I mean, Alice, you do many things. You're a musician, you're a massage therapist. But I think the numerology is something that is unique to this area. There's not very many numerologists. People do
Right.
use it in other aspects, but you really hone in on it, and I think it's a wonderful talent.
Thank you. I love it.
Well, in our last final seconds here, as you could tell, there's so much more that we can go into, and probably the best thing is for them to get a hold of you, alicehalford.com.
That's why there's websites.
That's why there's websites. So thank you so much for enlightening me. I'm very intrigued and want to do more and learn about
Thanks,
what
Alice.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on here today.
You're welcome. All right, we're going to take our only break, so we can bring up a second guest, my energy healer. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Well, really excellent.
Hi, I'm with Wendy Riley, who wrote a step-by-step adventures and fundraising guide, and she is here at the Sierra Commons Small Business Fair, and she stopped by Cafe Community Studio to tell us about the guide that she wrote. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Cheryl. How are you?
I'm well, and
Good.
thank you for stopping by. This is good to know about, a guide for fundraising. We need that.
Thank you. I'm very excited about it. My business is called Catch the Spirit.
Okay.
And it's a step-by-step guide, like you said, on how to put on adventuresome fundraising. And it's modeled after our local hike that we've done for the kids in our area schools.
All right,
It's
that's
been
the Moms?
Moms on the Mountains is what we called it, and it's been running for 16 years. So we've got
see.
some track record.
Yes.
I decided one year to write it down in a book.
Good
So
for
this
you.
book I'm going to put online and hopefully sell it to other communities.
Yeah. Well, your expertise is going to come in handy for a lot of it. And I like the adventures in fundraising.
Definitely.
We have to
Outdoors.
find fun. Well, you're here at the Small Business Fair. What's been a real highlight for you? What are you taking away today?
It's really exciting walking around this building and running into people that I know in the community and people that I didn't know that they were doing certain things that I could actually utilize their services. From social media to printing to things that I can use within my business, and it's very exciting to know that's right here in our community.
Yeah, this has been a really
Yeah.
great fair. What has been in your business a good resource that has helped support and keep your business going?
Right off the top of my head, Sierra Commons is, they've put together a course, a 6-week course for igniting your business, and I'm in that course.
Good for you.
It's been great.
And it is good.
It's been great.
All right. Well, good luck with your guide, and thank you for stopping by today.
Thank you very much.
Take me down to the river. Take me down today.
Welcome back to Cafe Community, our special program on intuitive and energy arts. And I'm going to let my co-host Susie Daggett introduce our next guest.
Hello again, and I've had the pleasure of knowing my next guest for many moons. Georgia Dow does integrative healing. Now that takes a whole array. We're going to probably talk about energy healing because that's something people go, huh? What does that mean? Now I want you to think about one thing. Everything is energy. There's no time and space continuum when you talk about energy, but Georgia, who has had many years of experience, is going to tell us a little more about what do you say to people when they say, what is energy healing?
Georgia Dow. Did we get her name? I don't know.
We did now.
Georgia Dow, the
Dow.
integrated energy healer. And welcome.
Thank you. It depends on who's asking the question. It's like dancing with with someone that you don't know. You adjust immediately. Mm-hmm. So for some people, I'll say, have you ever been in an elevator where you're standing just a little too close to someone and you just want to move away? And they go, oh, yeah, I know that feeling. And I say, well, what's happening is the field, because as you beautifully said, as where energy is everywhere, the densest part of us is the physical body. The more less dense or subtle aspect of energy is fields upon fields around us. So when you're in like this elevator and you're standing too close to someone that's something, it's usually a gut feeling. You just go, oh, let me just move a little away. You're just registering their field and something isn't comfortable.
Yeah.
So that's
how you back off.
So you just move over.
Or you do
You
this.
move in.
Hello. How are you, Georgia? Right. Because you're comfortable in that energy, and
Right.
and this is where you find these. If people are familiar with words, chakras and auras and stuff, we have our physical body, as Georgia said, but there are many, 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 many layers, and you have studied with some of the best.
Some of the best. It's been a tremendous path because when I started as a massage therapist for about 20 years, and then I reached a point where I said, if I have to move my hands one more time, I just wanted to be still. And that led me into saying, and in those days there were no schools, there were no certification, there was nothing.
Barbara Brennan was maybe about the only thing.
That's right. So I had to go search out the old timers that were doing this under the wire, so to speak.
Yeah, it wasn't
And
mainstream.
Not at all. So I really had a terrific opportunity to study with people. And, everything has different names, different styles. But people ask me, they say, well, what kind of energy do you do? And I go, there's only one energy. But people call it different names.
Yes.
People have different approaches on whether they're going to move energy this way,
Thank you.
or
It's
whether
she's like petting me.
or whether they're going to work on a particular acupuncture point, or whether they're going to hold two key spots that are just like me plugging in as a battery, hands cold, but it's like this one's great on the head and right in there. And if you didn't have to hold your arm up, we could just be here for a long time.
And I could go to sleep.
I know, right? But there's just so many ways of working with it. And that's why I said before, someone comes and I find out what do they know. In other words, I try and match their level, because some people who come have very little experience with it, and so it's about kind of relaxing their body first, and that's why I often will use music. Then the mind starts to relax, then the emotions start to soften, and then they're starting to relax. And then I slow down, and then I start working energy. I will always work hands-on on those people, and it's usually very quiet.
Because they only really think about their physical body.
That's right, and that's a beautiful doorway for them. They're more comfortable with that. Other people are highly sensitive, and they don't even need to be touched. I can just work this way, or moving things
really,
in.
It's like she's petting me.
And they're happy.
And so you can sense that, or is that through conversation before with them?
It's through conversation. I read bodies. You hear
it's
how
more
they're
than conversation
being.
with you. You're very intuitive, and her room. You have to be in her room, her healing room, because it's got all the magic that is mysterious that we don't really know. Why does this?
Just
why
walk
is
in the
this
room?
crystal better than that
But you
one
see,
for there?
but environment has an effect.
Sure.
The difference between walking in a bar versus a church. What's the big difference? And yet, everyone you ask that of will go, oh, I can tell. There's a big difference.
It's energy.
It's energy, right. We visually see things, but that all affects, everything affects the field.
And energy it comes to you so much faster than anything physical. It's like your intuitive self. You already know. And if you just tune into it, and George is very skilled at tuning in, you have a very left brain approach to a lot of things too, because you're very scientific. But you've done this beautiful blend of both the left and the right to feel out where problems are and where the person will go with that problem.
That's right. And that's really the art form. Is what people say is not always the end of what they're really wanting.
They come to you because their fingers hurt.
Right.
And that has nothing to do with why they're really there.
That's usually not. And so the key for me always in working with people is not for me to do something to you. It's to evoke out of you by asking questions, by working with you and saying, what are you noticing here? Or they'll say, I don't know, I just want to relax. And it's like, then at the end of the session, after clearing, balancing, harmonizing, moving things, I'll say, okay, now stand up. What do you notice? How is your mind any different now? How are your feelings? What are you noticing in your body? And for some people, that's an enormous difference. They go, I don't have the words for it, but I feel lighter. I feel softer. I feel cleaner. I feel like the challenge that I came in with isn't going to be that bad. So people are hunting for the right words, but it's
the self and spirit. I threw out some words just because I saw it on your website, and that really inspired me. Self and spirit together.
That's why a lot of my work is it's one thing to work energetically, but it's another thing to have the person who they are fit how they're living.
Right.
Walking their talk?
Well, it's like, are people happy in their jobs? Are they happy who their friends are? Are they happy with what they're reading? It's like it's taking people to the next levels of alignment. And that alignment is, are the clothes you're wearing you? Have you ever put something on that and it's just not right?
And you say, why do I still have that
Right.
in my closet?
That's right. Well, again, this goes back to
worry.
it's all energy, it's all relationship, it's all alignment, everything's connected. And what's going on in the earth today, and everybody realizing, wow, what's going on in Japan, we're having effects it's opening up the experiential getting it, that everything is connected, everything. So whether I'm in the healing room working with someone and I'm running energy or moving things and clearing things, or whether some dialogue comes up and you can feel by the way they said that they're not happy with their work. So
The
key
integrity
question,
has been lost.
and they're coming in with shoulder issues. And for a lot of people, shoulder issues are about, I got so excited. Too much responsibility.
Oh, yeah,
And the
weight of the world.
So the body, everything relates to everything else. And so it's like one beautiful puzzle in front of me. But again, I don't have to have the answers. I listen, I ask. And, you know, when you've done something a lot, you start doing it without even knowing what you're doing because you really are grokking it. But it goes beyond the mind now. So
Getting the mind out of the way.
Yes.
And does energy work with that? Quieting
beautifully.
the mind.
It does. The
How
mind.
does it do that? This is a big question. It's taken an hour to answer, but we only have a few minutes.
When your body starts to relax, that's why relaxation is so important. There's something that's fascinating. The mind starts to turn down, and then we start to just soften, and then the feelings come up. And when the feelings come up, then often clarity, whether it's emotion or insight, it's like there's an awareness. It's like, again, everything's connected. But what happens is, of course, gosh, you're asking such a huge question.
I'm sorry. At the end of the interview,
There's chatter mind, and then there's layers above mind that are more intuitive mind, then there's insight mind, then it goes woo way up higher. So there's many ranges of mind.
Yeah, the chatter mind is, I think, what keeps people in a cycle that's
In a squirrel cage.
sometimes. Yeah.
And it's just whereas, and that's the one that slows down in doing massage and energy, any kind of relaxation. There's so many approaches.
And it seems when that happens, just the relaxation, the dropping of the shoulders, you become receptive, open to the energy. And
That's right.
I mean, it's letting go of that, and the mind, letting it go, and just being there for whatever energy comes.
That's right.
So getting to that point, so you can reap the benefits and be inspired.
Well, you feel better. You notice something about yourself and you go, boy, that felt good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're operating at a better, higher energetic level where you're able to do things in a better fashion for your life.
That's right. You have a greater awareness. You make better decisions because things are more obvious. And you don't put on that piece of clothing because you really are paying, it just doesn't feel
attention.
good. You're paying
This
attention.
is not, it might be you tomorrow, but it's certainly not
Or
you
someone's
today.
offering you certain kinds of foods, or you have an opportunity to stop at McDonald's and you go, you know, I think not today. Because you realize the vibration in that food, which is pretty dead, is not lifting you. And some
not
people
supporting
don't
you.
care about that, in which case it's
fine.
okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's not about shoulds. It's about coming from within you on your choices.
Well,
Darn it. I
Darn
wish we
it.
had
Okay.
more time.
All
Thank
right.
you,
More time.
Georgia.
You're welcome.
It was beautiful.
yeah, very inspiring. So much to feel good about and to discover all these journeys and paths. So thank you, Georgia Dow, and thank you, Alice Halford, and thank you, Susie Daggett. When's the next Insight? Director
It'll
coming
come
up?
out in April. And
Ooh, just around the corner.
yeah, we're finishing it up right now. And thank you very much, Cheryl, for letting us come and be part of your world.
Oh, thank you so much. And this was great. A good show. And thank you for being with us. And we will see you next time. We've got to sign off. So have a good week. And think numerology and energy and
It's all
inspiration.
Good. It's all good.
Yeah. And I'm gone. Yes, I'm gone. Lay me down.
Nevada County's In-Home Supportive Services program provides needed services